Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Get Your Game Sense Up. My name is Alex, you're a Nerd Average Gamer.
And I'm Sebastien, a true MLG gamer. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss the Epic Game Store versus Steam. Is one better than the other, and is it really a black and white answer? And Star Citizen, the video game contender of the longest development cycle ever.
Okay, the Epic Game Store versus Steam. Everybody knows that launcher is the best. It's very consumer friendly, has all the features including the kitchen sink, while the Epic Game Store just came out. They're ruining everybody's time with exclusivities and they don't have any features and everybody just hates it. All right, Sebastien, you told me that Steam is not as great as everyone thinks it is. Why do you think that?
Okay, sorry. I want to clarify myself. Steam is just fine when it comes to running games on PC. But people are really shitting on Epic right now, and I feel like it's really unwarranted. Epic is really trying to make a name for itself with their own launcher. Everybody knows Epic from Fortnite, and Fortnite, no matter how you want to see it, is one of the biggest games in the world, if not the biggest game in the world. How many other games do you see being put in Avengers Endgame? Right? Nope, just Fortnite, and Fortnite is made by Epic.
Wait, is that legit your reason?
No, I'm gonna get there. Alex,
Keep going.
God, you're the worst. I really hate you sometimes. So the Epic Game Store is one of the biggest developers out there right now. They're trying to make a name for their launcher, and the way they're gonna do that is by having exclusives. Not everybody's really attacking Epic for purchasing games to be on the Epic Games launcher, making exclusives, whether it's a small time or whether it's permanent, such as World War Z, Borderlands 3, Division 2, Ashen, Hello Neighbor, and they just purchased Rocket League and the Psyonix developers. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Coming as a console player, we've had exclusivity on consoles since the beginning of the generation, since the NES. Since forever. It's always been exclusive, and people are honestly complaining about, oh no, I have to go to Epic to play games. Honestly, guys, get over it. Literally, you're saying what you're complaining for is that you're having too many launchers. Who cares? It's just a program. It's not like you have to buy a new computer every time Epic says, we want to put this on their launcher. You literally just download it. Who cares if you have both Steam and Epic? I really don't like the idea of people complaining. And the worst part is review bombing whenever a game goes to Epic. When Metro Exodus went to Epic, people review bombed the previous two Metro games. It's why are you guys doing that? They review bombed Borderlands 2 once they announced Borderlands 3 is going to Epic for I think 6 months or whatever. It's
but you have to understand that Epic is not bringing anything to the table. It's really hard to just expect. Okay, the difference is, let's start with this. We are console players. We rarely play on PC, and we did have exclusivity for a long time.
We still have exclusivity. That's just
We've had it for a long time. But Xbox and PlayStation are competitors. They try to bring features and things that people would want to try to attract them to their platform. Epic isn't doing that. Epic is literally just going out of their way and buying everything that they can that is related to them, which is a lot of games, and holding it hostage, making people use their launcher. You can't just expect people to just use your thing. And on top of that, what also makes people even more upset is that a lot of game developers that have promised people Outer Worlds, they promised their, what do they call them, their backers, the people that crowdfunded the game, that the people who use Steam, you'll be the first to get access to the game. Okay, Epic tries to get you to go into the Epic beta, whatever, and then the Epic early access. All those things that people don't really care about. They just want to play games. They don't offer anything to those people. And also having those developers, not saying that it's Epic's fault, it is the developer's fault, but the whole thing about taking games away, making them exclusive, is causing so much strife.
Yeah,
So like,
strikes
it's
for no
understandable.
reason
It's
because
just
people feel entitled. They really do. Listen, this is how it is. The main reason why all these developers from the companies of Outer Worlds and Borderlands and Metro Exodus and The Division and Ashen and all these other games are all going to Epic is because of money. That's literally the only reason, and that's
right.
a better thing for the community, for the consumer. Because now if these studios like Psyonix and Massive are gonna get more bang for their buck, they're gonna get more money in their pocket because more people are buying their games through Epic. They're gonna make their games better. They can pay their developers more. They can pay have more money to have more features in their games. Whereas when they were paying 30% of your sales was going to Steam before. Imagine making $100 and you have to give $30 to your neighbor just because he's your neighbor. It's ridiculous. Instead of $30, you would have to give them $12. It's a huge percentage of their sales that they're saving.
It's not that you're a neighbor. You're like, your neighbor is here doing advertisement and stuff for you.
But I understand. But also at the same time, it's like, okay, I understand that Epic does not have all the same features like the cloud saving, the user profiles, the forums, the item trading, account sharing. There's a lot of features Epic doesn't have. But the Epic Games Launcher is new. It's brand new. Steam didn't have all of that stuff when it first started. When Steam was first coming out by Valve, it was pretty shit. It took time for it to get there. Steam really worked hard to make them the standard, but it wasn't the standard. And you can say that about any business, any model, like anything. When there's someone who's doing it the proper way. Look, a perfect example: iPhone versus Pixel. iPhone is the standard of how phones are great. Like, I would say iPhone and a couple of the developers like Samsung. But iPhones, everyone trusts Apple with their work. They really do. They are kind of the standard of what makes a good phone. And now the Google and Pixel want to do the same thing, but they keep messing up. Even though the standard is right in front of them, they don't want to blatantly copy them. So they're trying to do different things, but it's not working, and they're just not there yet. We were talking
But Epic isn't doing anything different.
Not yet. Again, they're not doing anything different yet. Like right now, they're just worrying about the library. We were talking about Google Stadia, and everything you said was Stadia. They need the games. They need the games. They need the games. Granted, Stadia already promised all these really cool features, but you kept saying they need the games. They need the games. What Epic is doing is the opposite. They're getting all the games first. They're trying to secure all these great games, all these big games, and then from there, they're like, hey, we have a good library of games. We have a good audience. And we have Fortnite, one of the biggest games in the world. Now let's start worrying about all these different features like account sharing, user-created guides, wish list. Like, honestly, those aren't a make it or break it when it comes to buying a game. And granted, I don't play on PC, but like, to me, it does not matter how many launchers I have. Like, it's just somewhere else to play the game. You don't have to buy a different computer just to play Outer Worlds. Because your computer runs Steam. It's not the case. It's not like with PlayStation, Xbox. If you want to play Spider-Man, you better go buy a PlayStation for $300 or $400. If you want to play Halo 5, you got to go buy an Xbox for $200 or $500. Like, I don't know. People are really going above and beyond when they hear that another game is going to Epic, especially when it's helping the developer out so much. Like, I'm like, you guys need to calm down. And when they start review bombing previous games, it's like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? You guys are just, like, I get they don't have many ways to voice their anger and their frustration, but it's just like, why you're just hurting a game for no reason,
Okay, I understand. Like, I hear what you're saying, that it really, objectively, maybe, unless we're missing something, it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, the way that the developers for certain games, the way that they're just basically backstabbing and going back on their word to people that were there since day one because of that promise of it going to be on Steam, and then turning their backs on them, not having a conversation, not making it public, like, hey, this is what's happening. Epic came to us, or we went to Epic. We want to communicate with you guys for, like, a compromise or something like that. That they could have done something. They could have had, like, for this amount of days, the game will be on Steam. You could download it, and then after that, it will be on Epic. And then after that time is done, it'll be on both platforms.
That's what Epic is doing now. They're saying, hey, games like Borderlands 3, it'll be exclusive to Epic for like 6 months. 6 months is not a long time. It really isn't.
Yeah, but 6 months, that 6 months, and then other games to a year or more, and some of them are permanent.
Okay, but like, look at the consoles. Spider-Man will always be an exclusive to PlayStation. Halo will always be an exclusive to Xbox. And
the only thing I don't like is that the devs are not doing their part of holding their written word to the people that supported them, and not having that conversation, and just completely going like, oh wow, we're getting millions, so let's just go with them, and everybody just has to deal with it. That sucks. That's so backhanded.
I mean, definitely it does suck, but I mean, at the same time, if they had promised someone, like, I don't know the exact situation you're talking about, but if they had promised someone, oh hey, you're gonna be able to play it 10 days early on Steam since you crowdfunded us or whatever, if they can give that same promise but just on the Epic Store, to me it shouldn't be a problem.
No, it was just them. It was just Outer Worlds literally coming out of nowhere with a statement saying, we are going to be on the Epic Store exclusively, and we will let you guys know when we'll be available on other platforms. Like, basically just we'll let you know when we'll be on Steam. So it's going to be on PlayStation, Xbox, Epic Store. We'll let you know about Steam. And people just lost their minds. Like, that's
unless they pre-order it on Steam, they really shouldn't. Like,
I don't think it is available for pre-order.
If it's not that case, who cares? Like, just get it on Epic. Like, sure, Steam might be the standard, it might be where all your friends are, but just tell your friends to download Epic. It's literally a push of a button. Download. It's not like I'm saying, hey, can you buy a $400 console so we can play a game together? I just feel like people really freak out between Epic versus Steam for no reason. And Epic, it can't be that hard to add a feature like a wish list,
Well, there's also the thing about privacy. People are saying that Epic Game Store has a lot of privacy issues about your information being sold or being released. What about that?
Sorry, repeat that?
I said that people are also mad because the Epic Game Store has privacy issues with your information being sold or released. What about that?
Well, that's on Epic. They need to do better on their part. Definitely, if that's the case, the launcher isn't as reliable. If the launcher was just bad, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But the launcher it's not just bad. All you need a launcher to do is to play the game. If it's bad, if the launcher was literally broken, like if you couldn't play games on there, your security, like you have no privacy on the launcher, then yeah, I shouldn't use it. But from my understanding, it's not a huge deal. I've never heard too much about that. But I don't know. But just the idea of the exclusives going to Epic, to me, is perfectly fine. Like, people are freaking out for no reason. I don't understand why. Like, guys, get over it. Exclusivity is not an issue to me. Coming from the console side, it's like, that's just something that's how it's always been. You guys are freaking out for no reason. Like, okay, wow, they're changing it up. Good for them. It's going to be better for the games in the long run. Because they'll make more money. They can put more money into the games, have better things. And they can pay the developers more. Ooh, so bad. Like, oh well.
I just think it would have been better if, for two things, that the people that were being bought, the games that were being bought into exclusivity on the Epic Store, they should have said something to their communities. And the Epic Store should have come out with better features and better security before they, started doing all of these exclusivity purchases.
Definitely. If their security isn't the greatest, they do need to fix that ASAP. That's me, they do need to fix 110%. There's no way around that.
All right, next up, Star Citizen, the game that has been in development hell for what seems like forever. The game has generated over $200 million. And today we're going to be talking about, is the crowdfunded model good enough to be used generally for most games coming out? So Sebastien and I were talking about this, and I was telling him that I was wondering, why don't most developers use this process of having the public fund their games so that they can be more held accountable for their actions? Kind of, so they're not like tied down by a publisher like EA or other people. They can be free to just create the game on a certain time frame with these promises, and it's just funded by the public. And if anything happens, they have direct contact to the public. If the game fails, there's nothing that can really shield them. They're just wide open. They're very vulnerable. So if they do something wrong, the public's gonna be the first to know about it.
Okay, so like, I want to stress again that what Star Citizen does, they're 1 in a million. Not every game would have the luxury of being like, hey, let's just go to the public and then hope people will give them money. And I know Alan just kept saying, more games should do that, but like, not everyone has that luxury of just going to the public and getting money. Whereas when it sounds very safe and secure, when EA is like, hey, we're gonna give you $40 million to develop your game, but you have to get it done in X amount of time, and we want to sell it this way. And of course, they have the option to be like, you would like these things in the game, because they're giving you X amount of money, So Alex just kept saying, oh, this is the correct way to do it. Look at Star Citizen. Cuts 2 weeks later, we find out that Star Citizen has been bleeding money for years, and that they're nowhere near to a finished product. That sure, they've been getting other money from the people, but they aren't being held accountable. Apparently it's like a Ponzi scheme over there. They just keep taking money and they aren't doing anything with it. Like, they're spending money on high budget actors like Mark Hamill to do some voice work and whatnot. But the game is nowhere near to be finished than it has been in the past 2-3 years. Like, Alex just kept going on and on saying, this is the way to do it. They're doing such a good job. And cut to, they're not doing a good job. You said they would be held accountable by the people. They aren't.
No.
They aren't being held accountable.
Okay, what I meant was, I'm not saying, okay, the way that the crowdfunding is done now is not like a perfect version of itself. I'm just saying, if it was taken on by more people, it could become something like a standard, like a really like official option for developers to get games out. Now, Chris Roberts, who is the CEO of Cloud Imperium Games and maker of Star Citizen, he's also the main writer and the director, the leading head of the development. He has not been handling it well, and he has a history of not handling these things very well. Another thing is that most of the money that he's been receiving is not just crowdfunded. He also been receiving from back-end investors and other companies that are willing to invest into this game to make it a success. And it's not like the game isn't going anywhere. The scale of what they're trying to make is huge, and they've had plenty of
it just seems unrealistic.
Well, the unrealistic is becoming a reality, and that's going to take time. Now,
okay,
I don't know
how long.
Exactly. I don't know how long something as ambitious as this needs to take, but they've had their builds, and they've had working full and playable builds where you can go on ships, go on missions, go to other planets, travel space.
Yeah, but they're also charging like $300 for one item. You could buy a ship in the game for like $300.
3,000.
3,000. Oh, thank you for clarifying that. 3,000. And then is that all right? Just to go back to the whole crowdfunding option, it's like, if more companies would do that, do you think that's better? Like, let's say we go back 10 years ago and you're hearing about the Division and Destiny all being announced or whatever, and Warframe and all this stuff. It's like, oh, hey, but we need your help to make it. With your donation of $25 a month for the next 10 months, you can make this game a possibility. So every game you want to play, you're going to want to have to donate money to? I don't know.
No.
I just don't think crowdfunding is the best option for all games. Well,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that since Star Citizen is technically the first of its kind.
No, We Happy Few did the same. A lot of games are crowdfunded, just not as big as Star Citizen. Star Citizen is definitely one of the most biggest crowdfunded games. But I know We Happy Few was another one, and there are definitely other games, smaller indie games that are crowdfunded. I think Celeste was crowdfunded, if I'm correct. But Star Citizen's
Well,
just the biggest one. It's like $300 million.
right. But like what I'm saying is that like this the crowdfunding thing, it isn't like an official regulatory thing, like if you know that Xbox, PlayStation, EA, DICE, Blizzard, all these big people, these big names, they're official, so you will be receiving a product out of it. I'm saying is that if the crowdfunding model were to become something official, obviously you'll be able to have rules, and depending on the scale of the game, what the game is, there should be a time frame for when the game comes out, depending on how much money you receive. So if you hit your goal or over, you should be having this game done in this amount of years. Something to set a realistic end point so that it doesn't stay in
but
development
when
hell.
you're saying with something as ambitious as Star Citizen, you don't know how long it should be. Like, you're kind of contradicting yourself with that.
No, because like once again, this thing isn't official. And Star Citizen, if it ever gets finished, we'll be able to know how long a game like that does take for people that want to do something similar. And the more and more information and stuff like that comes out, people will be able to perfect that. Be able to cut that down, because I don't remember what engine they're using, but people know that this is the extent of that engine, and then they'll be able to learn shortcuts, and they'll be able to do those things quicker. It won't be able to take this long, stuff like that, if it were to become an actual thing. Like it's a thing, but it's not like an official, like, oh wow, this is crowdfunding and these are the rules and these are the things that come along with it. I'm just saying the idea of it not being handled through a publisher, having something that can be shared with the community directly, that they have their own hand in, is something special to me. And even though Star Citizen doesn't seem to be looking good right now, we do know it's just that there's too many things about it. Like, on one hand, you could say it's a scam, but on the other hand, they've done so much to try to make it a reality, and they're coming along. I'm glad. I'm glad that it has received some negativity, so that can encourage them to hurry it up and finish it. But at the same time, that could also hinder the game. So maybe they do want to hurry it up and finish it, but we won't get that expansive world. Like, they said that they wanted to do 140 ships and they got 86 done. If they were to hurry and cut it, we won't get all of those ships or new ships or stuff like that. As far as the ships costing and other things costing about $3,000, I don't agree with that. I don't think anybody should be charging that much for a virtual item that it's not tangible, that you'll never have technically. But it's an option. You don't have to pay that money. They're not forcing you, hey, you need to get it. Something that EA would do.
The little dream of it being crowdfunded and everyone coming together and making this beautiful product or whatever. But again, like, it's a dream. It really is. Because like when I asked you the question of every game you wanted to have, you had to pay for up front for a certain amount of time, you probably just be like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. You probably just wouldn't play games. Imagine all the games you've played in your life. You had to pay to not just to buy them, but pay to make it created, and you had to wait like 4 years after that. 4 or 5 years. Like, oh, I've been paying for this for a couple of years now.
Well, that's the freedom. That's the freedom of it being. But the thing is, it's an option. You don't have to pay. Other people will pay. That's the point of it.
But what if everyone had that mentality of other people will pay, then no one pays?
That's not real life. Come on now.
I don't know.
Like, that's exactly what's happening now. Like, oh, we're a crowdfunding game. If you help us, people think that. Like, I see that and I'm like, I won't do it because other people will pay. And look, people are paying for it. But I'm saying there needs to be steps. Like, you can't. If this were to become an official thing, you can't just come out and be like, oh, this is our idea and this is our concept. No, you need to have some sort of model, some sort of commercial, some sort of trailer that's a foundation for the build, and the funding just helps you build upon that. And then you need to have a realistic, this many years will get us to build the game. If you need an extension, you can announce that, and then fine. But after a certain point, the game has to come out. If it was, if it was a regulated or something like that, some way. That's the thing. That's why I think it would be cool. It would be a good idea.
I don't know. It's just we have to wait for Star Citizen to come out and see if it was really worth it at the end.
Yeah, we do need to see how Star Citizen turns out just before this concept of mine can be actually puzzled. But there are other examples like Warframe and stuff.
Definitely, but obviously Warframe has its own controversies going on right now.
Right, but those are controversies that are happening now. As far as it being an established game, was because of it being crowdfunded.
Definitely, but it took a while for it to get as big as it did. It got bigger over time. It didn't just was big up front, which is what Star Citizen trying to do.
Yeah, like that's another part of it. Like let's say if Cyberpunk 2077, if it was crowdfunded, people see it, they see that what's being worked on, and they're like, that's really interesting. I would like to help with that. And when it hits that milestone, obviously they'll have the money to do their own marketing and stuff like that. So, and also word of mouth is really, really powerful, especially in today's age. Reviewers, social media is so huge, not too much of an expense there to get what you were doing out there. So getting a game popular or getting the attention wouldn't be so much of an issue. All right, guys, that's the end of the episode, but the conversation is not done yet. It continues in the comments. What do you guys think about Epic versus Steam? Are people overreacting about Epic being as bad as they say and Steam being the only plausible platform for them to go on? And what do you guys think about Star Citizen? Do you think the crowdfunded model should be a regulated thing to be an actual official option, or things should just stay how they are? Let us know in the comments. And guys,
don't forget, get your game sense up.